of you, and you're feeling it. Because if you didn't feel it, then your patience didn't need to be worked. You didn't need to strengthen it. You have to feel it. You have to endure with it. And now I'm a former college athlete. Now I play ball. And if you're trying to get through the hole, I was running back. So you're trying to get the hole, you're going to feel some pressure. You're going to have some obstacles. You're going to have some barriers. However, and you have 4 downs to get there, get to your destination. You go once, you may not get it because you may get stopped. You go the second down, you may go to your left and right, but then the linebacker gets you. But every down, every time you get the ball, you want to evaluate your path because you're looking for the hole to get to your destination. And sometimes it takes a little patience to wait before the hole pops open, and then you got it. You got it. That's how it was today. It was just a little patience. I waited, and then the customer sent me a link. Never received that one before. Let me pause for a second, make sure I'm going to my location. Let me see. What happened is that they sent me information. They sent me a link. The link took me to the address. Now, when I got to the address that the link took me to, it was not the address that was posted, that was supposed to deliver with. Even the customer was not aware of this. I had to show her that this was the message that was sent. And based on the message that was sent, this is the location that I went to, and she didn't even know that. How many times have you got into a conversation and you say it was communication, but the communication was ineffective? Why? Because the person did not receive the message that you intended on sending. I believe the onus is on the person sending the message. You want to make sure that the person is hearing what you're saying, is getting what you're trying to send, because they may be getting something that's totally different. And when somebody gets something that's totally different, just like in the case with this person's package, the previous person that was sending, Dasher, actually what they did, they left because they thought they was getting a message, and obviously they was not. They were not. They were not getting the proper message, but they were getting. But the onus is on the sender. So this time, the person, I had patience. I waited, but everybody won't have patience to take the message, to receive the message, and to run with the message. They may run, but they may run with the message that was sent. The meaning behind the message. The meaning behind the message was not sent, but a message was sent, which was not your intent. So the goal is to make sure that the receiver of the message receives the message that you intend on them receiving. And if they do that, then you can walk together in harmony. You can accomplish certain tasks. Or, at the very least, have an understanding of each other. Okay, let me just cut this off. All right, this is perfect now. Perfect now. I had it. I fixed it last week, but I haven't messed around with it enough to actually get fluid with it. I fixed it last week where I shifted, but that was you on. I thought that was Renee.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, so what? Just spoke him up.
Yeah, bring Sleepy Brown up in here. Bring him on in.
Oh, he got a tan.
Yeah, nice tan. He got plenty of vitamin D with that tan.
Renee, where'd your video at?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Renee.
Oh,
Just can't see you. There
Oh,
you go, brother.
there he is. There he is.
Nice to see you, brother.
Renee, you look like King Tut on Batman series.
yes. That's my new look. My new look.
Yeah. Okay, so
Abraham Lincoln look. Well, go ahead. What are you saying?
now Tito just told me that you heard the video, but you couldn't hear me. I know what happened. I think I know what happened. I modified it. So with that being said, so you told me you heard the video earlier. So and Tito just heard the video if you didn't hear it earlier. So what's the take? Because pretty much my gist of the summary of it, pretty I'm talking about patients. I talk about a situation that I experienced while I was doing ride with Dr. Dio in them streets, whichever you choose to say it. Like I said in
Mhm.
one video, said in them streets is a subsidiary of rideshare with Dr. D, and and sometimes I get a pip. Sometimes I get epiphanies on my ride, even if I have somebody in the back seat. And that's when I got, whereas I was delivering the package, but I was going to a location. I was going to a location
Mhm.
that was not the destination, but the onus wasn't on me. The onus was on the sender, and the sender was DoorDash. DoorDash was sending a message that they thought was from the person who needed the package, but the person who needs the package need to actually send me the correct message because she wanted to receive a package. Just like in a lot of cases, we want to receive a a, a, a more pleasant response from somebody we're speaking to. We send a
Mhm.
message because we're trying to get our intent across. And if our intent doesn't get across, then the message is not received.
Mhm.
And then if the message is not received, then you have a frustrated individual on the other end. This person was frustrated. However, in her frustration, she didn't stay there long. She she uh, she thought about it and she sent me a link to get me to the correct address. So by her sending me to the correct address, she cut down her anxiety, her frustration, and she received a package. And I think that's a good parallel with how we deal with communication with individuals, ones we love, or even business partners or people in general.
Mhm.
A lot of times when we're frustrated that the person is not receiving our message, we go off and still don't get the message. But it takes sometimes it will behoove you to to pause and say and work on a solution instead of focusing on the problem. The focus on the problem don't get you the result that you want. But thinking about a solution that may be outside the box may get that person to give you the package that you want. And so therefore it's gonna be an understanding. Now sometimes you don't agree, and that's all right. You can agree, you can disagree agreeably, but at least you have an understanding. And that's that person, they got an understanding with the package. I don't know if my metaphor made any sense. What's your take on it? You know,
Patience is a yeah. Patience is a virtue. Yeah. Sometimes you're right. I think anger and frustration can cloud our judgment, and sometimes if we can stay calm and think through, the answer could be right in front of you. So I agree. I think frustration and anger can cloud your perspective, and sometimes you're so angry you don't really even care to like see a better way because you're upset. Whereas perhaps if you do take a deep breath, have a woosah moment, and say, "Let me calm down and let's see how we what how do we rectify this."
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I saw the video. What you're saying now, yeah, I can definitely see that perspective.
I For me, I think when you started talking about effective communication, I think that's the start because we the frustration originally came where you had to practice patience and come up with a to adapt and come up with a solution that caused the package to get delivered was the reason that the whole frustration was because of ineffective communication. The sender sent it to sent the message, but it didn't make it to the receiver like it supposed to be and being processed. So it was some confusion in that. And I'm just, patience. Uh, it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like depending on what it is, and I need to practice more of it. But some things, when you have them little pet peeves, it's kind of hard to have patience when you have a pet peeve, especially if it's something that's repeatedly that's done, that you have communicated before. But this situation is different because this was a DoorDash thing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't really know how DoorDash work. I don't really use these type of apps and different things. I know what it is, but I don't use these apps. So when a person order the food, how is it communicated to the DoorDash person to go pick it up and where and where it's being dropped off to?
You'll go ahead, Renee, answer that.
You order food from a restaurant, and the restaurant uses Lyft to deliver the food. So to deliver the food, so DoorDash is like the middleman between
Okay.
the restaurant and the actual, or whatever. It may not necessarily be food, because you can deliver anything with DoorDash nowadays. So if I'm correct, the restaurant is the one that inputs the information for DoorDash. So I guess in his case, the wrong or inaccurate information was entered, or maybe the GPS issues sent him to a wrong place. But then the young lady was able to send him a link to get him directly to her place.
Okay. So the way I'm taking it, the customer called the restaurant or whatever retailer that they getting their product from,
Mhm.
and the that wherever whoever the retailer is, restaurant, whatever, they take the information from the customer and they put the information in, and it gets sent out to DoorDash, to whoever's in DoorDash that's going to pick it up. Correct?
Yeah,
Am I
But,
through the
tracking
app.
through the
but
app?
right, so it's like the customers actually. Just a loose illustration, like it may be two people there, and the words are the words that the message that is being sent is sent it by way of the DoorDash. So
Okay.
the person actually, I want a hamburger at 35 Penelope Street, and so therefore the words are floating through DoorDash. I want it from the store. They're floating through DoorDash, and so the receiver, which is the Dash or Uber Eats, whoever, he gets it. Okay, a hamburger. And he wants the hamburger from and delivered to 33 Penelope Street. So as he gets the information, he gets the food, he takes it to where he thinks he's supposed to go because that's the message that he heard, he received. Now, if that message not received appropriately, does it mean? No, I think that's the name. The message not received. Is that me? No.
Do somebody have two strings going?
Okay. There was. Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, that probably me and Alex here back there. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, so the person is receiving the message. The actually receives the message. That's one.
It's again. You hear it?
Yeah, that's not me. That's not me this time. That's Renee. The person received the message, received the package. Renee, can you check yours?
No, there's nothing here.
All right.
What does it sound like?
Do you hear Tito? Like okay. Can you hear me now?
I heard you fine. Where's Tito?
Oh no, it must have been Tito
Where
because
is he?
I was in no he may jumped off to reboot himself back up on
Okay.
because I was here while I was talking I was hearing like a reverb a backup.
Or of your voice?
Yeah, but but not loud. It was like the extra speakers. So it may have been
Oh,
Tito,
oh, must have been Tito.
but it may have been Tito. That's it. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back. I'm sorry. I was closing out streams and making sure I didn't have nothing going in the background.
And I think it's okay. Hello, hello. It was you.
Hello. Was it me?
It was you.
Okay. I closed out everything I had going in the background and I clicked off. I think what happened was, remember when I said I couldn't text you and I had to text you on YouTube? I
Right.
think it was probably playing in the background on my computer, and I closed out everything and I just came back in.
Okay. Okay. So let me go back. Okay. The person sending the message, she's sending the message to the dasher who's the receiver. He receives it as he thinks he heard it. No, as the sender thinks that they're receiving the proper stuff. So he goes to where he heard. Now is now the receiver said, listen, I'm not hearing you correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So the sender adjusted the way they sent the message and sent the link. And when they adjusted the way they communicated and sent that message, then the receiver, the dasher said, "Oh, thanks," and then they received that message. They were in their package, which in communication it would be then they actually received the intended message that was meant to get through. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So the original message was the wrong information, and then whoever the customer is realized that it was a problem with the original address, so they resent the address to fix the problem.
Right. Because they want to be heard so they can receive a better response, which is their package. And that's the case with everybody, for the most part, if you're in effective communication session with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's spouse, whether it's business, whether it's friends, because there's nothing more frustrating than you trying to send a message and the person not understanding what you're talking about.
Yeah. True. True. True.
So therefore the onus is try to understand in a way that the person can receive, which lies to work. Like I said it, I think it was silence out. I think it's not about speaking to the masses and understanding their body language, how they receive. How can you do that if you can't understand how one person receives? Now, it's not the way you receive it, but you try to get them to understand. And so it can be more harmonious dwelling. Now, how can two walk together unless they agree? I mean, and you can disagree agreeably,
Mm-hmm.
but at the very least, you have understanding. I don't like it, but you understand me, don't you? You're okay.
Hmm.
So you don't have to go slash your tires, Renee.
Well, I've never done that and never will by the grace of God.
Right, stand to your guns.
Huh?
That's right, stand to your guns.
I think
Non-violence. Non-violence.
That's right.
That's the way. Non-violence.
Hmm.
Put those ninja mask up. You know, you slash somebody's tires some more. Oh,
I'm too pretty to go to jail, so
Yeah.
look, they like them pretty.
mm-mm. I ain't trying to be nobody. I ain't trying to hold nobody pocket. Some things I don't want to experience.
Yes, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so give me some situations about patients that y'all think that need to be is it okay? Is patient? Would you say patient is a macro or micro issue? Is it more uh, macro micro? Is it more global or is it more situational or just situational or specific environment?
I think it's situational for me.
Okay. How about you, Renee?
I think it's both. Combination of both. I think it's macro and micro. Um, it also does depend on the situation. I think it's such a grand issue that yeah, it is both.
Do you think anything in particular has caused the increase of lack of patience in society?
Mm.
We live in a a microwave society where we want it right then and right now. I think that destroyed the patience. I
Is it,
mean,
mhm. Go ahead.
we have these quick cook meals that we can throw in the microwave. Or we can grab from the freezer and throw it in a skillet, and it's all done in like 15 minutes, and you ain't got to add none. You can go throw some in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, and you got a meal. You want that instant gratification. That's just I think that's today's time. Everything want to be rushed. We deal with a lot of more processed food than we done had in the past. You want to go to McDonald's, you want to go to this restaurant, and when you go to these well, I say drive-through restaurants like your fast food restaurant, you want your stuff quickly. If you gotta wait for about 5 or 10 minutes, you feel like you waiting forever. Like, hey, they're slow. And today, it's like it's like to me, Chick-fil-A has some of the quickest drive-through service. But when you see that line wrap and you're the last person in the line, patience can start to wear down. I know for myself. And then once you get in that line and you kind of trapped and you can't really get out that line, you can't jump the curb unless you want to like tap your car. You know what I mean? I think we are in them times where we expecting stuff to just you want the best quality, but you want it real fast. You know,
Mm.
me as a person that cooks, if I'm cooking some and the most flavorful stuff that I cook or that soaks in where it all gels together, it takes time. But if I take that same thing and I rush it, you don't get the same effect. But everybody like, hey, I'm hungry, I'm ready for it now. Or maybe I'm impatient and I'm just ready to get it done because I really don't feel like being in the kitchen at that time. And I think that's what's wrong with us now, where patients just it's kind of like out the window and it's kind of situational. It depends on what's going on to cause you to have patience. Now, if I go to a restaurant that you sit down in and I gotta talk to the waiter or the waitress, I gotta order my food, I expect that to take a little bit more time. But if I go to a fast food, keyword fast, I expect it to be right away. So I don't have the patience that I would for a restaurant, for a sit down restaurant.
Mhm. Okay, so Renee, what will be your issue?
Yeah, I think that the dissolving of the family unit has also a lot to do with societal's lack of patience. I think I'm a firm believer that your first teachers are your parents and your first classroom is your family.
Hmm.
And I think parents help teach children self-control and patience by how they teach them to deal with themselves, the parent, and their siblings. You know, say thank you. Don't help your brother. Did you share with your sister? You know, it's and I think a lot of people aren't growing up with families, so they're not learning these lessons. They're not learning self-control. I think family is a good source of, because when you're a child and you're under the authority of your parents, you learn from a young age that you're not the leader. And if dad says this needs to be done, you do it or you face the punishment. So you learn from a young age to control your emotions. You may not feel like putting the trash out, but you know dad said put the trash out, and if you don't do it, he's gonna put something on you. So as you grow, you learn to control yourself. You learn self-control, you learn patience.
Hmm.
You know, when the father's saying, what did you say? What, how do you, yes, sir, no, sir. What was that? Yes, sir. No, but I think a lot of people aren't growing up with that. So they're very emotionally driven, right? They don't have self-control,
Hmm.
and so they are impatient.
I can see that. I can see that. Usually, the most disciplined people usually have the most patience.
Mm.
At
Do
least in
you
my experience.
do you think that that the young men now be raised to be more emotional? Is that good or bad thing?
I think they are, and I think it is a bad thing.
I
I
agree.
mean, you have to be able to control emotions, and we're all guilty, but your feelings go up and down. You know,
Hmm.
it's good to have feelings, but I'm learning as I'm maturing not to depend too much on feelings. And it's not easy, but because your feelings they fluctuate. And in a moment of emotion, you can make a temporary decision that affects you for the rest of your life. Where sometimes if you can, calm down for a few minutes, you think clearer. In the moment, you're like, but then you calm down, you realize, okay. And that's happened to me many times when in an emotional moment, like one time I threatened my supervisor to step outside. And I literally was going to fight him. I was so angry at what he did to me. I mean, I was literally going to fight him. It was, come outside. We're going to handle this like men. But later when I calmed down, I realized, oh my God, I'm glad he didn't come outside, because, and I went back and I apologized to him and I apologized to other people in the store. Um, But yeah, that moment of I definitely I think they're too emotional, and I think it is a bad thing.
Was that the gas station?
Yeah, at the gas station. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't let you go because you needed help.
Well, he couldn't because he was the assistant manager. The
Okay.
manager came in later and was like, and it's funny. After that, we actually became pretty cool. He didn't mess with me no more. I didn't mess with him, and we were cool after that. But the manager, when he came back a couple of days later, he sat us down, was like, how in the world did you two adults get to a point where you're actually trying to fight each other? He was like, how could that even happen? And I had to apologize. But like I said, thank God he didn't come outside, you know?
Who read it? The
What you
film
mean?
called it?
Huh?
Who read it? Did the film catch you, or the system manager told?
Well, the other people in the store told me this happened in the store in front of the customers. I was
Oh,
so
they
angry. I wasn't thinking clearly. There was a line of customers and they were all looking at me like, oh my God. And I was like, dude, come outside. I'm standing in the door like, come on, come outside. Yeah. So yeah, the manager, yeah, all the other employees, everybody was shocked. Yeah. And afterwards, when I calmed down, I realized, oh man, that was awful. How did I even, I didn't even allow myself to get that way. Yeah.
What did he do tricking you so bad?
He took me off the schedule without giving me any warning, and I drove all the way to the store, got there, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What do you mean what I'm doing here? I'm on the schedule." He said, "No, you're not." And when I went and looked at the schedule, he had just like scratched my name out. I'm like, "Why didn't you call me before I came all the way over here?" And at the time, I was financially strained. I needed a job. So my mind was like, I'm in a financial bind and you messing with my money. So that really upset me a great deal.
Question:
'Cause he
How old were you when this happened?
maybe
50.
no,
Oh,
like 20, in my 20s.
okay.
Yeah, in my 20s.
That's a
Now,
Samson error.
Huh?
That's a Samson error.
The who?
Samson.
Samson? What you mean when I had long hair?
Yeah, you wasn't going to would take your strip.
Was that?
that, well, this leads me to a second question. Now, at your current age, if you was in that same situation, how would you respond?
Oh, by the grace of God, completely different. I hope I wouldn't even get upset, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you get upset? Will it be your experience where you grown in patience, or will it be because of your religious convictions?
I mean, both. I think I've matured. Um, it's not that serious. Um, I don't like being angry and out of control. I definitely don't want to hurt anybody. You know. Um, so yeah, ideally, I hope I wouldn't even get upset. I would just what I should have done was just stayed there, worked the shift, and later told the manager what happened. Like, no, he shouldn't have. That's what I should have done, but I didn't do that. I took it into my own hands. Like, hey, come out, step outside, let's go, step outside. So I would hope that's what I would do. Don't even get upset and go to the manager and be like, this what That's what I would hope.
All right, so you was younger, you was in your 20s, you was financially strapped, and you felt like he should have called you because the stress that you already had. So you was like already probably pegged towards being able to go off just because of the stress that was in your life at the time.
Yeah, I feel like he should have took me off the schedule at all because I'm working for money. I really need this money. What gives you the right to just randomly take me off the schedule? Now
So
you're taking money out of my pocket. That's how I felt then.
okay, so you felt like you was being shorted when you really needed the money, or was it because at one point you said he just lined you out the schedule, but he didn't call you and you drove all the way there. So which one was you more upset about, or was it like equal?
Yeah, that he took me off the schedule. Like, dude, I need this money. I'm in a tight situation. I work. I have this job for money. Like, how can you just randomly? I think that's what upset me more. And then on top of that, yeah, it's probably equal. I wasted gas coming all the way here.
Okay.
So fighting them would resolve your issue. You still wouldn't have, and you've probably been in jail. You've been in jail. You ain't got that shift, and you been
Maybe
a couple years
fired.
in jail.
Yeah.
Won't have the job either.
You had a
Yeah.
job either because it got real out of hand. If I would have sold with a felony on your record, so it would be beneficial. And I guess at that time you wasn't trying to do James 1 and 4. Yeah, but that patient have a perfect work that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Read a lot of scriptures and stuff tells what to do. How can patients have a perfect work in your life? Her perfect work.
Mm.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Doc,
you asked
explain
me?
it to us.
I know. We should try to-
but we a lot of times people, Lord help me be more patient. How do you become more patient unless you try? How does
Mm.
how does a tree get stronger unless it's pulled? When you will actually prune a tree, you prune a tree, it's growing. You're hurting. You break stuff off, but you're pulling. You're stronger. They get strong. Your muscles get stronger when you apply pressure to them. You know, you
Okay.
resistance.
Right.
So
Right.
letting pain, but it's painful, especially if you never did it before, and because your muscles are ripping to grow. So, but can you stand the rip? Can you stand the rip in order to grow? Blah blah blah. No, I can't do this. No, no, I'll be fine. I don't need a muscle. And if you don't work the muscle and you can't stand the pain, how can you grow? It's like I used it down before. How can you be? How can you hope to become gold if you don't want to go through the fire? How can you say I want to be an E7 diamond unless you can withstand the pressure? You jump out, and all you ever be is a block of coal. So the
Mm.
same principle goes with patience. Oh, patience pulling everything out of you. I mean, because then we're gonna be like Jesus. Yes, sure we do. Is that you gotta die to self, and that's think of things as good, that's lovely, that honest, that's pure. If it be any praise, think on these things. But in a time, but in the middle of a controversy or a situation, you think about how you just slap this person, or you want to fuss and holler and scream. But then, if you stop and think about it, it's like, how would that resolve the situation? And, and then then you say, well, if you have these thoughts of what I'm gonna do to this person, then that's when the other scripture comes in Corinthians. Cast down every imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Therefore, you have to bring into captivity every thought to Jesus Christ. Now that's easier said than done because they come hard. And sometimes that's when you have to remove yourself from a situation so you can woosah. Because at that
Woosah.
time, yeah, you woosah. Because when that time comes, everything everything's building up. I mean, the triggers. One of the five senses are affecting your thalamus, and the thalamus is going to your parts of your brain, the amygdala, which is pulling things out. It's going to archives of things that happen and that remind you and start playing trauma. And while sometimes you can't consciously recall the trauma, your body reenacts the trauma. Why is my heart palpitating? Why am I sweating profusely? Why is all this stuff happening? But you can't think about what happened because it's lodged in your subconscious, which your body and your emotions is lodged there. And you just don't know. And that's why some medication helps to suppress it so you can process and deal with it so you can get it up and out. The up and out. So patience, ooh, patience is a hard. As you ask God for patience, and then you're gonna have a lot of stuff coming your way. A lot of stuff coming your way if you that's your prayer. How can you get patience if you're not trying with it? Anybody can be patient when they're not never trying.
Hmm. I
Y'all be
agree.
patient. Y'all patient. I mean, yeah, I can be a great. I can give I can be a great giver if I got $20 billion in the bank.
That's true.
Oh yeah, I'm feeding the whole neighborhood. Yeah, but when only got $20 and not giving all, but I don't know what I'm gonna eat next. And that's practical. But closed hands never gets fed. You eat what you sow. You give, it comes back. That's universal rule. And you don't know when it comes. You don't know when and how, but it will come back in when you need it. I had a situation other day. I had gentleman pulled up. I got doing a session. He pulled up. He had two kids and a wife or girlfriend, whatever, and they was in a van. And he's like, man, can you help me some money for gas? Um, And I saw the two kids there. That he had tats on his face and stuff like that. That don't really mean nothing. I said, okay, let's go to the gas station. We drove to the gas station. So I gave a little bit more than he asked for. No, actually, I spot you at 10. I gave him more than that because I've been there. Not with my kids in the car, but I can only imagine. And it was like, what, 18 months and 3. And they was crying, they making noise, in the van. And then he had other issues with his tire. So at the very least, at least he can get around. And he get around. So they go, I've been listening. Go ahead and give. Don't just give what you say. Give a little bit more. It's gonna come back. Isn't that what it's all about? It's about giving. You can keep what you get, but it's more to come. And the real reward is to give. And was it? And some come back, but it made me feel good to be able to help. Even a little bit I had, they made me feel good that I had it in. I made it through a session, so I got some money. So hey, well, I'm tripping. If one day I have $2 left, I have more than $2. And I've been there. So we get grand when we arrive. Yeah, we get grand when we're on the mountain, but we forget that the valley is right around the corner. You're so patient. Patience is tried. That's how you build a patience. And sometimes we're still working on it every day.
I know I am because, like I said, it depends on the area, and some things I have more patience for, some things I don't. In the military we used to call it pet peeves, and then if it's something like if it's dealing with someone or something, and if I already addressed that issue a few times, the patience is done. If I spoke about it before, and I'm dealing with a person, and it happens again, I don't have the patience for it anymore. So usually I disconnect.
How do you respond? How do you disconnect?
I show them my actions more than the words. I would I guess they call it ghosting. I would just ghost the person.
Or you don't go 8.
Yeah, because it's not what I realized. Now, my younger days, I probably would have told you a piece of my mind after the fact, but my older days it's like you can't argue with everyone. And then if you discussing it and you see they don't understand or not comprehend what you're trying to get across, I just stop, because all it's gonna do is cause me to be frustrated. So
Right.
so now I just disconnect and be like, I can't do it. It's better for me mentally if I disconnect, because I will be mad and frustrated, and nothing would never get accomplished. So I guess I grew in patience in some kind of way. In some ways, I guess I probably need to work on it more. But how far do you go before before you become that irrational person, because it's just pushing all the wrong buttons in that area?
I think that's wisdom. And what you did, just think about it. If you kept on keep going, you will get frustrated, and nothing's gonna get done. 1, 2, 3 times, okay. I got a deadline. This the internal dialogue. He ain't gonna get it. Man, thanks, man. Don't worry about it. I got it. And you go to somebody else. I mean, the onus is on you, but obviously you can't get that message through for whatever reason. But you have time to work it out. So because all it's gonna do, if it was a chess match and you're trying to work out some moves and you had time, yeah. If you're trying to work on your skill set, but you got something to do, and that ain't the time. And if you keep on working on that and you're on a deadline, you'll get frustrated, and then it's gonna be projected onto them. And so therefore you go somewhere else so you can get it done. Don't, yeah, I think that's wisdom. I think that's a good coping mechanism. But if it's getting to you, that's when you pull back. Okay, it's about to get to me. All right. But if you let it get to you and you think about the whole time, that's so then a little bit too late.
Hmm. Yeah. I thought in the military, when that happens, you don't just reprimand the person. You don't just grab them by the shirt and say, "You filthy maggot! Did you
Well,
not hear what I said to you?"
Pillow
that's
fight.
that's easy. That's
Pillow fight.
easier. That's easier when it's a rank structure. But you, I'm talking about just in general and with regular life. You know,
Oh,
and you know, and in the military, you gotta. It's easier done. But what about when you outside of that? You know what I mean? You can get used to that structure, and now you're dealing with people on the outside, and you expecting that instant response to orders that you're used to. When you give something, when you say something, it get done without questioning your authority. But you get used to that, and then you start dealing with on the civilian side, and you say, "Hey, blah blah blah." You can't you can't go about business that way because people are looking like who the ham sandwich you think you are? Just just serious. And I remember I waited 3 years after I retired before I got my first job. So I'm thinking I'm good because hey, I've been out. I'm chilling. So I I done been around some regular people and think that I was good. And when I went up, when I was in the office, I and somebody called me and say, "Hey, such and such is online, such and such for you." Some of my mannerism, my response, I noticed people kind of like look. It was like certain looks and facial expression, body language, and I'm like, I'm saying to myself, "What?" Because I was used to the military environment, which was totally different. I was coming off as being rude and harsh. So it's a different world. It's mannerism that's the tough guy alpha male mentality doesn't really work like that when you in the civilian world as much unless you that person up in that the manager in a authority position. So it's different. So I had to learn them coping them what I was saying at first, them other coping skills to deal in the civilian life. And I'm much better now because it's been like 9 years. But at the same time, it's certain things you can't. I was a teenager when I went into the military, so you can't take 20 some years and then think that I'm a dump everything that my whole adult life pretty
Right.
much think I'm a dump what I learned my whole adult life just like that and think that it's gonna be okay. It's kind of like some of the um like a lot of military people have dark humor, and it's like certain things you don't intentionally do things or have say some of the things you say or do, but it's just became embedded in you. So it's kind of like I'm detoxing still, and I'm adjusting to normal life. So so I'm still learning in patience. It's one of them things where I had to learn how to like, okay, let me be quiet, or I already mentioned this, or we didn't have this conversation. Hey, this person ain't understanding. Let me step back because I can't. I in the military sometimes we'll say, hey, either you gonna be strong, you gonna be dumb and strong, or you gonna have some sense because you
What was
can
that?
hey, if you acting dumb and you acting like you don't understand, hey, maybe you'll be doing push-ups or you'll be doing something else that
Pillow party.
something else to get you to understand it until you get the click in your brain housing group.
Right.
But in the civilian world and dealing with normal people, you can't go about that. You can't go that route.
Right, right. How about you, Renee? And then we'll wrap it up.
In terms of learning patience.
Yes. Everybody responds differently. Like some people's patients that they like, go right off at them, and some people just wait and
Mm,
they wait and then they let it roll over. Which type are you?
Um, I think I'm a lot calmer. I think I'm more awake now. Sometimes I might be frustrated internally or angry, and my thoughts, I don't typically physically take it out on anybody, but I might think angry thoughts, you know.
How you deal with the angry thoughts?
Often I might muse on them until they dissipate. In recent times, recent years, I've become more patient to where I'll, have necessary conversations with myself. Say, hey, calm down. I'll try to rethink it, you know.
Okay.
And I've gotten better at that over the years. And less things make me angry. Um, I think as I've grown, especially in my walk with Christ, and I've grown in my Christianity and God likeness, I have become more patient. And things that used to upset me don't upset me anymore or upset me a lot less.
Okay. Okay. This suggestion, and I work on this as well. When things it's a good practice to journal. Um, the reason why is that you can do the audio journal. They have apps on the phone. I used to tell my clients, listen, it's an app called Journey. And while sometimes you don't have time to write it out, you can press record and it transcribe everything. And that's a way of getting your thoughts on paper and out of your head because they don't really dissipate. Now I think I like the practice you do where you had the conversation with yourself to try to process the rational course instead of letting it subside. And what it does is like when the water's in the sink, it doesn't evaporate. It goes down the drain. It still went somewhere. And that's what the situation, the thoughts do. They still go somewhere if they're not dealt with and or gotten out. And that's what the writing it down or getting it out, um, it allows you to put your thoughts on paper. And it creates it's like the word became flesh. um, and makes it tangible. And it kind of clears the cloud. And if you just talking it, then it transcribes, then eventually you read it. So, ooh, I must be having a really bad day. 'Cause everything will roll out, and especially if you write everything. Because I tell my journal, I'll write, and if something's doing me, I just keep writing, and I'll go back and look. So, oh snap, all that stuff is there. But the thing is, it came out the darkness. Now there's light to it. Now I know what was there. It may still come back in another situation, but I don't have to worry about count. I don't have to worry about compound interest. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make
Yeah.
that if I can find y'all. Too. Okay, there you are. All right. So with that end note, any other statements, and then I'm gonna wrap up.
Hey, you grow strong by eating. And so we have to keep feeding on the bread of life, which is Jesus Christ. And the more you see him, the more you become like God. And attributes in you will grow that are like God, and things that are not like God will dissipate. So we just got to keep seeing more of Jesus.
All right. Okay. I mean, because you keep on going. I mean, all right. Tito.
I agree with Renee.
All right. I'm trying to hide him. Oh, I did hide him. All right. All right, people. Next week.
All
All right.
right.
Later.
Later.